and welcome back to the table. I'm very excited because other YouTubers have already shown this to you, but I wanted to share this from my perspective. This is going to be a sneak peek at my next big gaming project. I'm going to the Civil War, American Civil War, and it's just a quick story. This was before Christmas, so back like December 20th, somewhere in there, my buddy and I, as we were playing some Napoleonics, I was like, hey, we should look at other eras of gaming. And, sure, why not? Discussed American War for Independence and the American Civil War. But the biggest thing is you got to get figures, what scale, rules. There's like a lot of choices when you want to just jump into something that neither you or your gaming buddy has bought any figures for. And as soon as I got home that night, I kid you not, in my email, Warlord Games mentioned they've got a new epic scale coming for the American Civil War. And I was like, how did they know me so well? And I went ahead and ordered the big package. I don't know what packages for pre-order they have now, but the one I have, it's got like a base game. It has several buildings that come with it, like Gettysburg buildings. And then it's got a regimental box for the Northern and a regimental box for the Confederate. And then all the figures that come like in this big starter. So they said it's around like 3,000 infantry figures and a bunch of stuff. I was like, holy snikes, that's a lot. But the stuff looks really freaking cool. And to help out, to kind of promote it, they had a magazine, their War Games Illustrated, not from Warlord Games, but War Games Illustrated, had an issue that has a sprue of the figures to show you what they look like. And I said, let me order that too. And it just came in. So I ordered this back, like I said, shortly. I think I ordered this right after Christmas. So about the 26th or 27th of December, I ordered it. And here we are, January 11th. So I know things from across the pond take a while, but I'm going to keep this as a souvenir. I've only ordered one or two things from Great Britain, but it's really cool to see the Royal Mail sent this to me, and it's kind of cool, the customs declaration, Royal Mail stamp. Anyway, that just tickles me pink. So I'm going to save that, and then here's the magazine. I was really concerned about how this would hold up in travel, but it looks great. Here's a thanks for your order. Nottingham Knots. Makes me think of Nottingham Castle and whatnot. So this is War Games Illustrated issue 397, the January 2021 edition. I think you could probably still order this, actually. And it's one sprue, but it looks like there's two sprues, because one sprue has the figures and one sprue has all of the bases. And then there's the magazine. So not to downplay the magazine, I'm sorry guys, but I ordered it for the sprues. But I like magazines too, so this works out. And I brought my little X-Acto blade, but they gave me a spot to rip here, so we'll just, it's not ripping as well as I would want it to rip. There we go. Alright, so quite possibly all the way from Great Britain, I might go ahead and do a separate read-through of the War Games Illustrated magazine. But first and foremost, let's take a look at the figures. And that's why I am putting this video together. Because what I want to do is see if I can partner up with Warlord Games, because I went all in on their Civil War. And that's where I plan on putting my focus. So I want to go ahead and start seeing what I can do to help promote this new product they got. Because if this does well, if they can do like Napoleonics and spread out, this would be perfect for me. So let's take a look at the plastic, and then we'll talk about why this is good for me. Because anybody who's watched my videos before know I struggle with miniatures in general, but I love miniature gaming. So why do I like these? So when I watched one of their preview videos, here's what I thought was cool. The sprues are going to come with strips of soldiers, kind of like if you buy, say, 6mm. Sometimes you can get like Napoleonics and 6 mil or Civil War, and they come on strips of figures, and you can base them up. And does strips too, but they're a little bit bigger. Now, the infantry come in strips, and I see there's a drummer, so you can maybe see which one's supposed to go on the front row of your base. But that's another thing too. The bases come with, not only are they already in a strip, but then they have little pegs on the bottom that fit into these bases. So you can see that you can put, 2 strips of 10, so that's 20 people per base essentially. And it looks really, really cool when you have them all painted up. They have pictures. I haven't painted any. Oh, I wonder where my clipper is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just clip out a couple of the infantry items here. So we'll grab those real quick. I'm going to be careful not to cut the base they come on there, the peg that fits in. And we'll worry about cleaning them up later. Well, one thing I wanted to see, because it's going to take me a while to paint stuff. I've seen some painting videos, so they look like they'll paint well, and they'll look really good when they're done. So, painting we can do. Let's go ahead and bring in the camera a little bit. So here's one strip. Let's go ahead and have you give this a real good look here. So this is their, I don't want to call it 15 millimeter. One of the videos I watched, an interview, it's epic scale. It's close to 15. And comments that I've read in comment sections is it's really hard with figures to start saying that, this is precisely 15 or 20, because every company seems to kind of make a variation of that size. So really, I think they were, Wargaming did a good job in saying, hey, let's just say it's epic scale, right? And it approximately the 15. Because, like, for example, here I've got from another game system, another company, it's a metal, and it's 15, and you can kind of see there, it's close. If I'm trying to match up base with them, it's close. I think my 15 here looks a little taller and a little more chunky. These guys are a little shorter and a little thinner. So a lot of this is really just kind of going to boil down to on what you really want to call this scale. So, not a problem. And then compare it with a figure, a Warlord figure here, in their 28. So it's about like half the size. So that's probably why they're getting an approximate of 15. This guy's kind of hunkered down just a little bit. He's not fully standing straight up, but as you can see, it's epic scale, and it's around their 15 or so. Probably like 13 possibly. I don't have a micrometer. I'm not going to measure, so I'm just kind of guessing at that. But as you can see, they're a lot smaller than normal. Now, I like this because, again, like if I just do the width, one of these figures is about 3 men. Then this is cool because when you see these guys on the base, and then if you see a lot of these lined up, it really looks epic. Like you really start to get a sense of how many people were out on a field of battle. Normally when I've been looking at, say, like the black powder rules, and this you can play with black powder rules, it feels more skirmishy. There's some folks out there that have, hundreds of figures in the 28 mil, and they do gorgeous games, and they look great. But there's still something to be said that if you can put, versus say 20 or 30 guys out, you can put 1,500, right? So the base set I got is going to have 1,500 people. So this looks, I think, to me, this looks very cool. If I was going to put this down on the table, and now I've got rows of soldiers lined up, and they're marching off wherever. And this gives you, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases. So 2, so I got 1 base, 2 bases, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 long strips, but I have enough to fill 5 of those. And then you're going to get an artillery unit and 1 cavalry, which could be a leader. That is one thing. A lot of the cavalries are going to all come on these smaller smaller bases, so they're kind of individually mounted. I haven't, well, it looks like maybe you could fit like 2. Well, that's got 2 pegs, so it looks like one cavalry per base there. So you're gonna have to, I guess that's gonna be more your traditional. You're gonna have to have several lined up to look like horse, your cavalry on a charge. But they did really good, I think, with the infantry. To me, this just looks cool. These aren't glued down, so they're not held in place very well. I don't have any. I didn't want to glue these because, my thought was I wanted to see how these looked just laying them on the base, because anybody knows me, what's going to happen is I'll probably spend part of the time learning the game by not having them painted, and we're just going to put them in the base, and I'm going to hold them in place with like blue tack. Well, anyway, I can't really let you see this, but man, this is so exciting. Let me do a couple more for you, just to kind of show you how cool this looks, because I believe something like this is a regiment, maybe it's a brigade box that you get. So maybe this is a regiment. I'm not very good with my nomenclature of Civil War organizations, so I'm probably saying it wrong. Let's get a couple more. And they clip off easy enough. I'll clean them up later, go over them with like an X-Acto. I'm going to do this one next. It's got the drummer and the flag, which means once you start learning your Civil War units, you can print out some flags. They already got a flag bearer there for you, right there in the middle. Now, black powder will be a new rule set for me to learn. And again, when I was looking at it, it seemed like it was more skirmishy than like big epic battles. But I think they're going to include a Civil War like extra book and information on the game, so that you can maybe play larger games, or maybe it will handle large scale games, just bring lots of troops. But here's another one. But like 5 of these I think make up a brigade. So if I remember right, I think this is a regiment, and then 5 of these, they make up your brigade. And then as you start putting them together, then eventually you just got this nice large mass of soldiers marching all over. So they'll be in column, and then when it's time to deploy, you can put them out in line. And to me, everyone's visual appeal is going to be different, but to me, this looks like a line of troops, right? It's not just like a couple squares of 4 dudes. Like, once you start putting out a whole regiment and then a brigade, I mean, I think it's going to look epic. I love it. I'm sold. I am sold. And hopefully this lets you kind of see, if you weren't aware of this, gives you an idea of what you're going to get, because I think the infantry boxes that you get are pretty much going to be full of sprues like this, several regiments to a sprue, 1 or 2, it looks like a horse and an artillery piece, and then your bases. So I would check this out. If you have any interest in American Civil War miniature gaming and you're looking for a starting place, go check out Warlord Games. I think their Civil War starting stuff is gonna be great, and I would encourage you to check that out. Let me know what you think. Share your comments with me. I would be very happy to hear what you've got to say about it. And this will give me a chance to practice painting on some of this. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you later. Okay, welcome back. I did pause it for a moment. What I did was I went ahead and just assembled everything that came on the sprue from the magazine. Now, you'll have to help me with my learning, but I believe that each of these is a regiment, and then several regiments will make up the brigade. So like this would be a brigade, and then you'd have several brigades to make up your division. So that's off my top of my head as I start to learn how this all goes together. Well, at some point there's battalions, so maybe these are battalions to a regiment. Yeah, see, I gotta learn, but I'm looking, and it's just, I think this looks really cool. I wonder, I might have to take the camera off and kind of do a free cam here for a moment, But as you line these, these infantry up, now I put a little bit of blue tack, so if I bump them they might shift a bit, but I didn't glue them down. That way I can pull them off when I want to paint. But you're going to be moving units like this around. I might have to I wonder if I can make little movement trays to hold them all. But there you got them marching in column, and this is 100 soldiers. Can you imagine trying to do that now with your 28? I bet you could do 100, to get you a division. But I mean, that's a lot of figures in the 28 scale. You need a lot of table space. So this is going to let you do fairly large battles with fewer figures. Well, that's a lot of figures in a way. Even though it's a strip, it's a lot of individual people to paint. I guess it really kind of boils down to your interest level and how you want to view this. But for me, I think this is great. So you have your lead unit up front with the leader, and then he's got the flag, so you're going to rally around the flag. And then when you do deploy out to a line, it looks pretty big. It's a line. I got to really up this thing. So you're going to have a line of folks. So that 100 people in column, when they deploy out, I mean, that to me is going to look awesome as far as for the infantry. Now the cannons, I don't know how cannons in the game work, but for some games one cannon is fine, represents some folks here. This could represent multiple guns, which still will. But what I did for this one is the assembly was easy. It comes in 3 parts, so basically it's a wheel and a couple people, and the other wheel and some other folks there. And you can see the guy with the brush there to push in stuff. I know some people are going to drill out the barrel hole a little bit, but it was these 3 pieces, and the wheels go on. You can't mess it up wrong. You can't get this wrong. And the wheels go on super tight. You might not even need to glue them. That way when you go to paint, you can take it off, disassemble it. It's just that if you disassemble this too many times, the plastic is going to wear down, might break. So you might end up gluing it. I did glue this one. I didn't glue it to the base, just the wheels to the cannon. But like I said, for future, I might not. Push them in together, hold them as they fit tightly as is. And then a little bit of putty. I have Loctite Fun Tack, some mounting stuff, a sticky tack, whatever you want to call it, just to hold it to the base until I do get around to painting it. But I think it looks pretty good. It's not bad at all. And this could represent whatever. And if you have a couple of these, you've got a huge battery of artillery. And then the cavalry does come with 1 to a base, which for some folks, that might not fit your gaming style, but that might work just fine for playing with like the black powder rules. And then once you have several of these lined up, you've got some cavalry. But that's what they look like on their bases. The only other thing I might do is look at some washers, some metal washers, or even pennies. Maybe a penny, just a penny, just simply to add a little bit of weight, because they're plastic and they might get bumped around pretty easily. But just add a little bit of weight to them to help them stay to the table better. For these longer bases, maybe 2 pennies. Just again, give them a little bit of weight, hold them down to the table. But I just wanted to share you that, to me, I think that's going to look awesome. Once you get these things all painted up, even if you don't paint, the figures are going to come in gray for Confederate, blue for Union. So even if you're not a big avid painter, or it takes you a while to paint all those figures, at least you'll have some basic blue and gray going at it in their lines and columns. And yeah, one day we'll have some nice side views of these, but I think they're going to look fantastic on your table. This time for sure, that's it. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later.